This is reposted.
I know how much you love Ina Garden, and I want to do another quote about food. Today is from celebrity chef Paul Prudhomme. You don't need a silver fork to eat good food. I think some of the best food I've ever had is traditionally or historically poor people food. Gumbo in Louisiana is traditionally like whatever food you have left over, you throw it in a pot and you cook it up. Barbecue is easy to make, and I make bread, and that's flour and water and salt. Like, I don't think you can be any cheaper than that, and it's delicious. So I think this is very true, and I think there's a misconception that you need to go to Gary Danko or you need to go to the French Laundry to be able to get quote great food. But I think the best food is made at home and shared with people. What do you think?
I love everything you just said, and I also love just making a cheese quesadilla. Like it's like my favorite food in the whole wide world. Just butter, tortillas, cheese, and heat that thing up. Like you're right. I love going to Gary Danko. It's like one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. Cheese quesadilla just as good.
So I guess we disagree on this quote then. I mean, yeah, I think also maybe you could apply this to like work or jobs. Like, you don't need to have a seven-figure salary to be happy. There's so many studies that say, I think it changed recently, that like if you make north of $80,000 a year in general in the US, like your happiness doesn't increase with the more money you make. And so I think that could also be applied to like your life. Like, you don't have to have the nicest car, you don't have to have a German engineered auto to have a nice ride.
And also, too, did a little bit of research about Paul Prudhomme, whatever his
Paul
name.
Trudeau.
Paul Trudeau, pastor in San Francisco. He was poor, raised on a farm. And what I like about this is, right, his mother was a cook. When you don't have very much, you make the most of what you have and you try things out. It's like the necessity of invention is like you don't got anything else, you might as well try things out. And I can imagine they're on this farm like, hey, maybe this tastes good with this if we add this, or let's cook it in a certain order to make it taste better. I like the idea of that they made the best of what they had, and it probably spurred something on him to be like, if I get better and get more stuff, I'll even be more creative because I already know how to work with nothing.
Yeah, there is something to be said about having to work with what you have to allow for creativity, because if you have unlimited resources, then it's like, well, where do I even start? Like, all right, you have an unlimited budget, make something delicious. You'll be able to make something, but like if you're learning to make do with what you have, then you might, like you said, be more creative.
I read it was like a book about the founding of MTV, and basically it was a cable company that gave them no money. Everything they had, they basically came and created it, didn't use any resources like MTV. If you remember, you're probably too young, but they used the Moon Man. Their
Yeah.
big thing was the moon. That's because it was free video from NASA. It was public domain. Anybody could use that. And
Yeah, I
so
think that's a good point for entertainment. A lot of times TV shows start off, or historically started off, without a big budget, and so they would have these crappy sets, and then it would become successful, but you really couldn't change it because you didn't have the budgets to do it. I don't think it was until recently that like people like HBO and Netflix like put money behind it. Game of Thrones obviously had a big budget early on, or even reality TV. Like, it's just very cheap to produce, and then that's turned into one of the biggest genres on TV.
it's like what you said. It's like you could use resources and probably make something good, or you could use your mind to come up with creativity and also probably make something equally outlandish or different by using your brain to put it together.
Yeah, what do you um, historically think of when I say a Silicon Valley startup office? Like, the very beginning is,
Ping pong tables.
well, I mean like a garage. Like,
Yeah,
they came
exactly.
out of a garage, and now like if you went to Google and you said start the next Google, you have this entire Mountain View complex. I don't think that they're going to come out of it. I mean, the tech startup world is a great example of just like bootstrapping. Facebook started out of a dorm room. Um, Snapchat started out from nudie pictures wanting to get deleted. I mean, it's all very humble
And
beginnings.
And I think what you're saying, though, is it's always about the idea. It's not about where they cultivate the idea. It's about the idea and what they do with it. And so just kind of back to Paul a little bit, like my thing when I back in the days when we could have people over for dinner was always the idea of putting something together. My opinion of a great meal is that it takes a long time to do. Like if I have somebody over for dinner, I'm usually marinating a piece of meat for a while. So I have to come up with the idea and then I got to make sure I start it a week ahead, or I think about a cocktail that I'm going to make for somebody. And I got to make sure, okay, that person likes Fernet. So I want to have a Fernet cocktail. It's always about the idea, and it takes a little time than it is that I have a Wagyu piece of beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think especially in social media culture today and just seeing everyone doing something awesome, like Dan Blitzarians flying around on jets, Kim Kardashian's renting out an island. That isn't like, it seems amazing, but like just look at what you have and you have all the tools you need to be happy. That would be my suggestion.
Here's the last thing I'd like to say is that I have been to Chef Paul's kitchen in New Orleans. A friend randomly said, "Hey, we should go to this place." And it was so cool and such a great experience. The one I wanted the most unique thing on the menu, and it turned out to be a Cajun martini. And it was like spices and garlic into this
Ooh.
martini, and it was just unbelievable.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it
I
was
just thought of
awesome.
one more example. Chipotle was this guy graduated from culinary school. He didn't have the money to decorate. And so that corrugated metal and very basic thing is their brand because he didn't have the money. All I have to say, don't go out and spend thousands of dollars on a cut of meat. Just have a cheese quesadilla.
So if someone wants to take me to Gary Danko, say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send Ellis instead. Well, if you want to get dodged by Larry, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for The Chef, saying thank you for stopping by.